The patriarchy is not just about blaming white rich men for being in power and destroying a world, which is still a fact, but it is like a melody that sits deep inside our social structures and in our conditioned mindset. We are taught to compare and achieve. We are conditioned to believe a certain body or a certain look will give us advantages, for example, which is in the structure a truth. For example, a trained hourglass-shaped body for women is considered the most sexy or desirable today. So having a trained hourglass-shaped body or pursuing to have it gives us safety and self-worth, a sense of connection, because I can have connection. I am desirable because my body is desirable. Naturally, if a woman does not fulfill those requirements, there's a lack of safety. There's a lack of self-worth and connection. If she did not learn from the get-go that her looks do not determine her worth and was seen, heard, and felt as a child. This means that she's able to practice inner safety and inner self-love that is not determined by outside circumstances, which still does not make it okay and is rude and disruptive and irritating. Every human being needs to feel worthy and loved. So it is natural that our system searches for solutions to stabilize our nervous system. And what solutions does society suggest? Play the game to win it. Be perfect. Master your business. Be rich. Be attractive. Be never aging. Be never sad, angry, or overwhelmed. Master your relationship and family. Do self-care, yoga, meditation. Although that can really help, of course. Have fun and just be on top of the ladder. But that is the thing. The root thought of a matriarchal society is equality. It is built upon the fact that everybody is worth the same. Be it a child, be it an old woman, be it a 20-year-old man, be it someone who doesn't define themselves in the gender binary. It doesn't matter. For it is a human being, for it is a being, it lives. Also the planet is respected and not drained. Everybody is just equal. So there is no fight for the top because the top doesn't exist. And the collective is considered. The question is, what is best for the flourishing of our collective community? And that doesn't always mean more money. That does not always mean more. But what it does mean is that everybody needs to have a good life and support. Otherwise, there is a collective problem. Not just a regional problem, not just a problem of them because they can take care of themselves. It is a collective problem which is considered, and the solution is searched for it in the global. And what does that mean for general society? That means enough support for young families, no pressure for teenagers to become career giants, no pressure for girls to look a certain way, no boys who can cry and have to be a strong man, no over-suggesting C-sections because they bring more money, no leaving people on the street to die, no pay gap, no unpaid extra hours, no manipulation, and also no how do I have my own advantage and everybody else does not matter. And I could go endlessly. I could really go endlessly. But how can we get there? And that is the important part. Because there is a solution. It is learning to have safety within ourselves and learning how to feel these needs for connection, feeling good and right within ourselves and in our bodies in a healthy way. In other words, creating the feelings and the life that we want outside of us, within us first, and for us first. For example, and that is a very, very big one, find people that can hold you as you are. Healthy relationships. How do I find healthy and trusting relationships? I start noticing how I navigate my current relationships. How do I treat my friends? How do I treat myself? How is the relationship with myself? We need to become conscious of our everyday behavior, of our everyday thoughts and feelings, and then make the active decision to change. And changing is the part where so many of us become lost because we are so conditioned into those old behaviors. And really changing becomes easier if you allow yourself to dream and allow yourself to really indulge in this dreaming. What would it feel like if you already had safe relationships? What would it be like to move freely through this world? What would it be like to have erased the pressure of patriarchal mindset of comparison and constant lack and running forward, never being enough and alone in the end? I think that would feel pretty awesome. We can allow our dreams to become reality. We can take out a piece of paper or even our notes app on our cell phone, which is something I do also, and write down how we want our life to be, how we want to feel and think and act. And if we have the ability to observe and be conscious of our unconscious reactions and patterns, even just noticing them. And the awesome part and also sometimes the difficult part, if we can decide to actively change and stop that behavior, which needs a lot of energy, which where your body will give you resistance and act with thoughts and produce feelings that will try to make you stop doing what you're trying to do right now, because you're changing something familiar and you're reaching a boundary that your body has not learned doesn't exist. But if we can decide to change and react and act in alignment with how we want our life to be, then that is freedom. Then we have our free will back. That is happiness. And then we change not only us, but also the world. Because the thing is, it is so unnatural and so harming for our souls to live in nowadays societal structure, to live in constant competition with everybody. I can't say it enough. The immense pressure of I have to succeed, I have to make something of myself, I need to have the perfect life. No, we don't. We really don't. That is a compensation of unmet needs, because if we don't get our needs met of being seen, heard and felt, we try to get that over anything else. And nowadays we turn to matter, like cars and clothing and food and things, to soothe those needs that we have within ourselves, that we are like just burying and burying and burying because we had no outlet for fulfilling them healthily and appropriately also. And in the end, there was no place for them to be fulfilled in the appropriate way, because this whole madness starts with how we treat our children and how we were treated by our parents, who were also children. That's the thing. We can't play the blame game, because our parents were also children and they also have parents and they also have parents. It is generational trauma that pushes back down into the very, very unconscious, our inherent knowledge of how to live a healthy and beautiful life, because we know, we really, really know inside ourselves. It just got buried so deep down behind all those patterns and personas and requirements to survive in this society, that we are just somewhere very, very far away. That is what I wrote down specifically. Our inherent knowledge is for long times buried deeply under trauma, which is reflected then on the outside. And another example here, in the 1940s, mothers gave birth to their children, and 30 minutes later the babies, they laid on the field grounds because those mothers had to go and till the fields. So those children could just be broken, but it was just after war and people had nothing and they had to work like animals and more than animals to just survive, and this had to produce so many broken children, and we are still recovering from that. It's just the truth. This still runs within our blood. I also wrote down as in not to talk about war and the terrifying circumstances many children have to grow up in today, to this day, which is just unbelievable. So yes, we live in a pretty crazy world today, but we can live differently. We deserve to feel happy and fulfilled. It is meant for us to be happy and fulfilled and growing and evolving. Every child, every woman, and every man, and everybody who also does not wish to identify in this binary gender construct, which I also sometimes really hate the roles that we are meant to fulfill because we have a certain body. That's another story. Everybody deserves to feel safe and good as they are, because we are, and we have the power to actively change how this train is turning with little things. We don't have to become activists and coaches and big change makers to actually change the world. If we live our most heartfelt life, we change the world automatically, because people will see us acting in everyday life how they never saw someone react. They will see how you change and how you look and speak differently. You will be a living example of a healthy and heartfelt life with your passion and your beloved and your way. And this gives the opportunity and the grounds for someone else to live it. So let the patriarchy do, and let us support this. If we walk away and not show up for it, it will not exist for long anymore.